Picture this. Los Angeles International Airport, Terminal 4, on a scorching Friday afternoon in late August. The kind of day where the heat radiates off the tarmac in shimmering waves, where travelers are already irritable before they even step through the sliding glass doors. Inside the terminal is chaos incarnate. Families dragging oversized suitcases, business travelers power-walking with their carry-ons, and the constant drone of airport announcements echoing through the corridors. But among this sea of ordinary travelers, there's one woman who stands out. Not because of what she's carrying, but because of the calculating gleam in her eyes. Her name is Miranda Ashford, though the staff who will later remember this day will only know her as that woman. 52 years old, impeccably dressed in a cream-colored blazer and designer sunglasses perched on her head like a crown, Miranda has a problem. And when Miranda has a problem, the entire world becomes her solution, whether it wants to or not. Miranda's problem started 3 hours ago when she received a text message that made her blood run cold. Her daughter, Veronica, studying abroad in Paris, had sent a frantic message about a family heirloom, a vintage Cartier watch that belonged to Miranda's late mother, that was accidentally packed in Miranda's checked luggage. But here's where things get interesting. Miranda had already checked her bags. They were already somewhere in the belly of the airport's baggage system, being sorted, scanned, and loaded onto the plane that would depart in exactly 90 minutes. For most people, this would mean a frustrating but ultimately simple solution. Contact airline staff, explain the situation, wait for the bags to be retrieved. But Miranda isn't most people. Miranda doesn't wait. Miranda doesn't ask. Miranda takes. She stands near gate 42, her eyes scanning the corridor like a predator surveying territory. To her left, a family argues about snacks. To her right, an elderly couple shuffles slowly toward their gate. But Miranda's focus is laser-sharp, fixed on a door about 60 feet away. It's unmarked, except for a small placard that reads, "Authorized personnel only" in bold red letters. Behind that door lies the baggage handling area, the restricted zone where her luggage currently sits, where that watch, worth over $40,000, waits to be loaded onto a plane. Miranda's mind is already 3 steps ahead. She's seen enough movies, watched enough true crime documentaries. She knows airports have weak points. She knows that confidence can open doors that keys sometimes can't. And she's banking everything on one simple truth. People rarely question someone who acts like they belong. Miranda takes a deep breath, smoothing down her blazer. She's already rehearsed her story. She's a supervisor from Terminal 2, covering a shift because someone called in sick. She's here to check on a baggage discrepancy. She's been working for the airline for 8 years, though if anyone asks which airline, she'll be deliberately vague. Mention something about being cross-trained, working for multiple carriers. It's all there, ready to deploy like a weapon. She walks toward the door with purposeful strides, her heels clicking against the polished floor. Her heart is pounding, but her face remains serene, almost bored, the expression of someone who's done this 1,000 times before. As she approaches the door, Miranda notices a young baggage handler emerging from the restricted area, his ID badge dangling from a lanyard around his neck. He's barely 20. Headphones around his neck. Exhaustion written across his features. Perfect. Miranda times her approach, reaching the door just as it begins to swing closed behind him. "Excuse me," she says, her voice carrying just the right amount of authority mixed with friendliness. The handler stops, turns. "Yeah?" Miranda gestures at the door with a slight smile. "I've got my hands full and my badge is buried in my bag. You mind?" She holds up her expensive leather handbag as evidence, as if the sheer cost of the accessory somehow proves her legitimacy. The handler hesitates for exactly 2 seconds. Miranda can see the calculation happening behind his eyes. He's tired. His shift probably started at 4 a.m. He's got another 3 hours before he can go home. And here's someone who looks official, sounds official, acts official. Why would she lie? Sure, he says, holding the door open. "Thanks," Miranda says smoothly, slipping past him. "Long day, right?" "Tell me about it," the handler mutters, already turning away, already forgetting about her. Just like that, Miranda is inside the restricted area. The door clicks shut behind her, and for a moment she allows herself a small smile of triumph. Step 1. Complete. The restricted area is exactly what she expected. Industrial, utilitarian, all concrete floors and metal shelving units. The air smells like rubber and diesel fuel. Conveyor belts snake through the space, carrying luggage in mechanical precision. To her left, several baggage handlers are loading carts with suitcases, their voices calling out flight numbers and destination codes. To her right, another door with frosted glass windows, probably an office or break room. Miranda's confidence surges. She's done it. She's actually done it. Now all she needs to do is locate her bags, retrieve the watch, and slip back out before anyone asks questions. How hard could that be? She walks deeper into the baggage area, keeping her posture confident, her expression neutral. A couple of handlers glance her way, but no one stops working. No one challenges her. She spots a computer terminal against the far wall, its screen glowing with flight information and baggage tracking data. If she can access that system, she can pinpoint exactly where her luggage is. But as she moves toward it, a voice cuts through the ambient noise of the baggage area. "Hey, who are you?" Miranda freezes. Every instinct screams at her to run, but she forces herself to turn slowly, her face arranging itself into an expression of mild confusion, as if the question itself is absurd. The voice belongs to a woman in her mid-30s, wearing the official airline uniform with a supervisor's badge clipped to her shirt pocket. Her name tag reads, Jessica Martinez, Baggage Operations Supervisor. And unlike the exhausted handler who let Miranda in, Jessica's eyes are sharp, alert, suspicious. "I'm sorry," Miranda says, her voice carrying just a hint of indignation, as if she's the one who should be offended. "Who are you?" Jessica repeats, walking closer. "I've worked this terminal for 6 years and I don't recognize you." Miranda's mind races. This is it. This is the moment where everything either falls apart or where her performance of a lifetime begins. "Miranda Ashford," she says smoothly, extending her hand. "I'm covering a shift from Terminal 2. There was a call about a baggage discrepancy, and I was asked to come verify some information." Jessica doesn't shake her hand. Instead, she crosses her arms, her body language radiating skepticism. "A baggage discrepancy. At 3:15 on a Friday afternoon, during the shift change. And they sent someone from Terminal 2. It's not a question. It's a challenge." Miranda can feel the situation slipping, but she doubles down. "Look, I don't make the schedules. I just go where they tell me to go. If you want to call Central and verify, be my guest. But I've got 5 other terminals to check today, and I'd really like to get this done." The mention of Central is a gamble. Every airport has some version of a central operations office, some bureaucratic hub that coordinates activities across terminals. Miranda is betting that Jessica won't actually want to make that call, that she'll be just annoyed enough by the bureaucracy to let Miranda proceed. But Jessica doesn't budge. "Which airline are you with?" she asks. "I'm cross-trained," Miranda says quickly. "I work with Delta, United, and Southwest. Whoever needs coverage." "What's your employee ID number?" Jessica's voice is cold now, professional. She's done playing. Miranda's heart is hammering against her ribcage, but she keeps her face calm. "I don't have to justify myself to you," she says, injecting steel into her voice. "If you have a problem with Central's staffing decisions, take it up with them. I'm here to do a job." The two women stare at each other, and for a moment the entire baggage area seems to hold its breath. The conveyor belts keep moving, but the handlers have stopped working, watching this confrontation unfold. Then Jessica reaches for the radio clipped to her belt. "Security. This is Martinez in Baggage Ops Terminal 4. I need an officer to my location immediately. Possible unauthorized person in the restricted area." Miranda's blood turns to ice. Security. This is escalating way faster than she planned. "This is ridiculous," Miranda says, but her voice wavers slightly. "I'm calling your supervisor." "Good," Jessica says flatly. "You can explain to them and security why you're in a restricted area without proper identification." Miranda's mind is spinning. She needs to get out. Now. Before security arrives. Before this becomes something that can't be talked away. She takes a step back, then another. "You know what? Fine. I'll just come back later when the actual professional staff is working." It's a weak exit line, and they both know it. Jessica moves to block her path to the door. "You're not going anywhere until security gets here." And that's when Miranda makes her first real mistake. Instead of staying calm, instead of continuing the charade, panic floods her system. She turns and runs. Not toward the door she came through, but deeper into the baggage area, toward the conveyor belts and the maze of equipment. Behind her, Jessica's voice booms. "Stop her! Someone stop that woman!" Baggage handlers look up, confused, as Miranda sprints past them, her expensive heels click-clacking against the concrete floor. She has no plan now. Just blind panic. Just the desperate need to escape before security arrives, and this becomes something criminal. Something with consequences she can't charm her way out of. She ducks between two conveyor belts, her blazer catching on a metal edge and tearing slightly. Her perfect appearance is coming undone, just like her perfect plan. She can hear footsteps behind her, multiple people now, all chasing her. This has gone from a minor trespass to a full-blown incident, and Miranda knows it. She spots another door across the baggage area, this one marked emergency exit. If she can reach it, if she can get outside, maybe she can disappear into the crowds of the airport, blend in, become just another traveler. She pushes herself harder, her breath coming in ragged gasps. She's not used to running. Her gym membership is more for appearances than actual use, but adrenaline is a powerful thing. And right now, it's the only thing keeping her moving. She's 10 feet from the emergency exit when a baggage cart rolls into her path. She tries to dodge, but her heel catches on the cart's wheel. And suddenly she's falling, her arms windmilling, her expensive handbag flying from her shoulder and skidding across the concrete floor. She hits the ground hard, pain shooting through her hip and shoulder. For a moment, she just lies there, stunned, the breath knocked out of her. Then hands are on her, not rough but firm, pulling her to her feet. Jessica is there, along with two baggage handlers, and now, approaching from the main door, two airport security officers. "Don't move," one of the officers says, his hand resting on the radio at his belt. "Ma'am, we need you to stay calm and cooperate." Miranda wants to scream. She wants to demand a lawyer. She wants to explain that this is all a misunderstanding, that she's not some criminal. She's a respected member of society. She's on the PTA board. She volunteers at the animal shelter. She doesn't belong in handcuffs or security detention or whatever nightmare she's stumbled into. But when she opens her mouth, all that comes out is, "I just needed to get my watch." The security officer exchanges a glance with his partner. "Your watch?" "It's in my luggage," Miranda says, her voice breaking now, all the confidence and authority evaporating. "My checked luggage. It's a family heirloom. I just needed to get it back before the plane took off. That's all. I wasn't trying to steal anything or hurt anyone. I just needed my watch." There's a long silence. Jessica picks up Miranda's handbag from where it fell, holding it carefully by the strap. "So you impersonated airline staff and entered a restricted area, violating federal security regulations, because of a watch?" Miranda nods miserably. She can see how it sounds. She can see how absolutely insane her logic was. But in the moment, in that panic when she got her daughter's text, it had made perfect sense. The rules didn't apply to her. They never had before. Why should they now? "Ma'am, I need you to come with us," the first security officer says. "We need to verify your identity, check your story, and determine if any charges will be filed." Charges. The word hits Miranda like a physical blow. Charges? But I didn't steal anything. I didn't hurt anyone. I was just... "You violated airport security," the officer interrupts. "That's a federal offense. Now, you can come with us willingly, or we can make this more difficult. Your choice." Miranda looks around the baggage area. Every single person is staring at her. The handlers, Jessica, the security officers, even someone who looks like a maintenance worker in the corner. They're all witnesses to her humiliation, her spectacular failure. She nods slowly. "I'll cooperate." The officers lead her toward the main door, one on each side of her, not touching her but making it clear she's in custody. Jessica follows, carrying Miranda's handbag, which will need to be searched and inventoried. As they walk through the restricted area, Miranda catches sight of something that makes her stomach drop even further. Mounted in the corner, its red recording light blinking steadily, is a security camera. It's been there the entire time, watching everything. Recording everything, her entrance into the restricted area, her confrontation with Jessica, her desperate run through the baggage handling zone, her fall, all of it captured in high-definition digital video that will be reviewed by airport security, possibly by federal aviation authorities, possibly by the Transportation Security Administration. There's no talking her way out of this. There's no explaining it away. The evidence is right there, preserved forever in the airport's security system. As they exit the restricted area and enter the main terminal, travelers immediately notice the scene. A well-dressed woman flanked by security officers, her hair disheveled, her blazer torn, her face a mask of shock and humiliation. Some people stare openly. Others pretend not to look while filming surreptitiously on their phones. In the age of social media, nothing stays private for long. The security office is on the terminal's lower level, accessed through a nondescript door near the baggage claim area. Inside, it's exactly what Miranda expected. Institutional gray walls, fluorescent lighting, a desk with multiple computer monitors showing feeds from security cameras throughout the terminal. One of the officers gestures to a plastic chair. "Have a seat, ma'am." Miranda sits, her body aching from the fall, her mind reeling from the catastrophic turn her day has taken. The second officer begins the formal process. "I need to see your identification, please." Miranda retrieves her driver's license from her wallet with shaking hands. The officer scans it, enters information into his computer. Miranda Elizabeth Ashford, residence in Santa Monica. "Is that correct?" "Yes," Miranda whispers. "Mrs. Ashford, I need you to understand the seriousness of this situation. You gained unauthorized access to a restricted area of the airport by misrepresenting yourself to staff. You refused to provide identification when challenged by a supervisor, and you attempted to flee from security personnel. These are all violations of federal aviation regulations. Do you understand?" Miranda nods. Her throat feels tight, like she can't breathe properly. "I need a verbal response, ma'am." "Yes," she manages. "I understand." The officer leans back in his chair. "Okay. Now you mentioned something about a watch. Tell me exactly what happened from the beginning." So Miranda tells the story. She explains about her daughter's text message, about the Cartier watch, about her panic at the thought of losing something so valuable and sentimental. She explains that she didn't think it would be a big deal, that she just planned to slip in, grab her bag, retrieve the watch, and leave. She never meant to cause a scene or break any laws. She just wasn't thinking clearly. The officer listens without interruption, his face impassive. When she finishes, he says, "Mrs. Ashford, you understand that there are procedures for situations like this, right? If you had simply gone to your airline's customer service desk and explained the situation, they could have arranged to retrieve your luggage. It happens all the time. People forget medications, important documents, valuables. There's a process." Miranda wants to sink through the floor. "I know that now." "Then why didn't you follow that process?" It's a simple question, but Miranda doesn't have a simple answer. Because she didn't want to wait. Because she thought she was smarter than everyone else. Because she spent her entire life getting what she wants, when she wants it. And the idea of following rules and procedures like some common person was intolerable. All of those reasons are true, but none of them sound remotely acceptable when spoken aloud. "I wasn't thinking clearly," she finally says. "I just panicked." The officer exchanges another glance with his partner, who's been standing near the door. Then he turns back to Miranda. "We're going to need to verify your story. What flight were you scheduled to be on?" Miranda provides her flight number, her reservation code. The officer pulls up her booking on his computer, confirming her identity and travel plans. Then he makes a call. Miranda can hear him speaking to someone, presumably from the airline, asking about her checked luggage, about whether it's still in the baggage system, or if it's already been loaded onto the aircraft. After a few minutes, he hangs up. "Your luggage is currently on cart number 247, scheduled to be loaded onto your flight in approximately 45 minutes. The airline has agreed to pull your bags and bring them here so we can verify your story about the watch." Miranda feels a small flicker of hope. If they can see that she was telling the truth, that there really is a valuable watch in her luggage, maybe they'll understand. Maybe this can still be resolved without criminal charges, without her life being permanently altered by one moment of incredibly poor judgment. They wait in tense silence. The officer completes paperwork, typing reports into his computer. The second officer remains by the door, occasionally speaking into his radio. Miranda sits in the uncomfortable plastic chair, her hip throbbing where she fell, her mind racing through possible outcomes. Best case scenario. They verify her story, give her a stern warning, maybe ban her from the airline, and let her go. Worst case scenario. Federal charges, prosecution, possible jail time, her name forever associated with airport security violations. She's seen enough news stories to know how seriously these things are taken in the post-9/11 world. After what feels like an eternity but is probably only 20 minutes, there's a knock on the door. A baggage handler wheels in 2 large suitcases, both tagged with Miranda's name and flight information. "These the ones?" the first officer asks. The handler checks his paperwork. "Yep. Ashford. Flight 2847 to Paris, Charles de Gaulle." "Thanks," the officer says, and the handler leaves, probably grateful to escape whatever drama is unfolding in the security office. The officer looks at Miranda. "Which bag?" "The larger one," Miranda says. "It should be in the inside pocket of my makeup case, which is packed near the top." The officer unzips the suitcase and begins carefully removing items. He's methodical, professional, laying out her clothes and toiletries on a nearby table. Miranda watches, feeling exposed as her personal belongings are examined by a stranger. The officer finds her makeup case, opens it, and reaches into the inner pocket. He pulls out a vintage watch with an Art Deco design, diamonds set into the bezel, an elegant leather strap. Even in the harsh fluorescent lighting of the security office, it's clearly valuable. The officer examines it carefully, then looks at Miranda. "This is what you risked federal charges for?" Miranda nods. "It belonged to my mother. My grandmother gave it to her on her wedding day. When my mother passed, she left it to me. It's not just about the money. It's about family, about memory." The officer's expression softens slightly, just for a moment. Then the professional mask returns. "Mrs. Ashford, I understand sentimental value. I do. But what you did today was incredibly dangerous and illegal. Restricted areas exist for a reason. Airport security exists for a reason. If everyone who forgot something important decided to bypass security procedures, the entire system would collapse." "I know," Miranda says quietly. "I know I was wrong." The officer sets the watch down on the desk. "Here's what's going to happen. We're filing a full incident report. This will include the security footage, witness statements from the baggage supervisor, and the handlers who saw you, and your statement. That report will be reviewed by airport management, and potentially by the Transportation Security Administration. They'll determine whether criminal charges should be filed." Miranda's heart sinks. "What are my chances?" The officer shrugs. "That's not my call. But I'll be honest with you, Mrs. Ashford. You're not the typical profile for this kind of violation. No criminal record, respected member of the community, genuine emergency situation. If you'd been cooperative from the start, if you hadn't run, this might have ended differently. But you made several very poor decisions today. That's going to work against you." There's another long silence. Then the second officer speaks for the first time. "For what it's worth, the supervisor you encountered, Jessica Martinez, she's requesting that you be banned from accessing airline facilities indefinitely. That's within her authority as a baggage operations supervisor. So even if criminal charges aren't filed, you're likely facing significant travel restrictions." Miranda closes her eyes. Banned from airline facilities, that means no flying. Or at least no flying with any airline that operates out of Los Angeles International. For someone who travels regularly, both for business and pleasure, that's a devastating consequence. The officer begins repacking Miranda's suitcase, returning her belongings carefully. When he reaches the watch, he holds it up. "Do you want to keep this with you, or should it go back in your checked luggage?" "I'll keep it," Miranda says. There's a bitter irony in finally having the watch in her possession, after everything she's done to retrieve it. The officer hands it to her, and she clutches it tightly, feeling the weight of it, the cool metal against her palm. Her mother's watch, her grandmother's gift. The catalyst for the worst day of her life. The officer prints out several forms. "I need you to sign these documents. They confirm your statement, acknowledge the incident, and verify that we've explained the potential consequences. Do you understand everything we've discussed?" "Yes," Miranda says, taking the pen he offers. Her signature is shaky, barely recognizable. When the paperwork is complete, the officer stands. "You're free to go for now. You'll need to check in with your airline to make new travel arrangements, since you've missed your original flight. And I'd strongly advise you to consult with an attorney. When the incident report is complete, you'll be notified by mail of any further actions." Miranda rises unsteadily. Her body aches. Her mind is numb. "Am I under arrest?" "Not at this time. But don't leave the state without notifying us. And Mrs. Ashford? She looks at him. Next time you have an emergency, go through the proper channels. That's what they're there for. Miranda nods and walks toward the door. The second officer opens it for her, and suddenly she's back in the terminal, back in the world of ordinary travelers who followed the rules, who didn't do anything spectacularly stupid today. People glance at her as she walks past. She must look like a disaster. Her clothes disheveled, her hair a mess, her face blotchy from stress and unshed tears. She finds a restroom and locks herself in a stall, finally allowing herself to break down. The tears come hard and fast, racking sobs that she muffles with her hand. How did this happen? How did she go from a respected, successful woman to someone who violated federal security regulations, who got chased through a baggage handling area, who might face criminal charges? The answer is simple, really. Pride. Entitlement. The absolute conviction that rules applied to other people but not to her. That her emergency, her needs, her wants were more important than protocols designed to keep millions of travelers safe. After a few minutes, Miranda pulls herself together. She washes her face, fixes her hair as best she can, and exits the restroom. She needs to find the airline's customer service desk, needs to figure out how to get to Paris, needs to call her daughter and explain why she won't be arriving on the scheduled flight. She also needs to call a lawyer, as the security officer advised. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. The customer service desk is on the terminal's upper level. The line is long, full of frustrated travelers dealing with delays and cancellations. Miranda takes her place at the end. Just another person with a problem. No longer special, no longer deserving of immediate attention. When she finally reaches the counter, the agent's expression immediately shifts from professional friendliness to barely concealed recognition. Word travels fast in airports, especially when there's drama in the restricted areas. Name? The agent asks curtly. Miranda Ashford. The agent types into her computer, and Miranda watches her expression change from recognition to confirmation to something like grim satisfaction. Mrs. Ashford, I have a note here that you've been flagged in our system. You're no longer permitted to access any airline facilities without prior approval from security management. I understand, Miranda says. I just need to rebook my flight to Paris. The agent types more. I can't help you with that. You'll need to contact our reservations department by phone. I'm not authorized to make changes to your booking. It's a polite way of saying, get away from my counter. Miranda nods and steps aside, pulling out her phone. As she's scrolling through her contacts, looking for the airline's customer service number, she notices people near the gate area staring at their phones, laughing at something. A terrible suspicion forms in her mind. She opens her social media apps and searches for recent posts tagged with the airport's location. It takes less than 30 seconds to find it. A video, already viewed over 50,000 times, showing her running through the baggage area. The person who posted it has added a caption. Karen pretends to be airport staff, gets chased by actual staff and security. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. The comments are brutal. People calling her entitled, privileged, stupid. Someone has already identified her, posting her name and city. Others are calling for her arrest, saying she's a security risk. A few defenders suggest that maybe there's more to the story, but they're drowned out by the chorus of condemnation. Miranda feels sick. It's one thing to face consequences from airport security and the airline. It's another thing entirely to have her worst moment broadcast to the world, to become a viral spectacle, a cautionary tale, a meme. She's Airport Karen now, forever immortalized in the internet's collective memory as the embodiment of entitlement and poor decision-making. Her phone buzzes. A text from her daughter. Mom, where are you? Your flight landed an hour ago. Miranda stares at the message. How does she explain this? How does she tell her daughter that the watch is safe but that everything else has fallen apart? She calls instead of texting, and Veronica answers on the second ring. Mom, what's going on? Are you okay? I'm fine, Miranda says, though it's a lie. There was a situation at the airport. I missed my flight. I'm working on rebooking, but it's going to take some time. A situation? What kind of situation? Miranda takes a deep breath. She could lie. She could make up some story about a medical emergency or a security delay that wasn't her fault. But the video is already online. Veronica will see it eventually. Better to hear it from her directly. I made a mistake, Miranda says quietly. A really big mistake. The watch is safe, I have it. But I violated airport security regulations trying to get it, and now there are consequences. I might face charges. I'm definitely banned from the airline. And there's a video online. There's silence on the other end of the line. Then Veronica says, in a voice that's carefully neutral, "What did you do, Mom?" Miranda tells her everything, the words tumbling out. When she finishes, there's another long silence. "Mom," Veronica finally says, and there's disappointment in her voice that cuts deeper than any legal consequence could. "Why didn't you just ask the airline for help? They retrieve stuff from checked bags all the time. I've done it before when I forgot my phone charger." "I know," Miranda whispers. "I know, I wasn't thinking." "No," Veronica says sharply. "You were thinking. You were thinking that rules don't apply to you, that you're special. That's been your attitude my whole life, Mom. I've watched you cut in lines, talk down to service workers, demand special treatment everywhere we go. This was just you taking it to an extreme." The words hurt because they're true. Miranda has spent decades believing she was entitled to more than others, that her time was more valuable, her needs more pressing. It's a worldview that served her well in some contexts, helped her succeed in business and social circles. But it's also a worldview that just crashed spectacularly into reality. "You're right," Miranda says. "I know you're right." "So what are you going to do about it?" Veronica asks. It's not a rhetorical question. She actually wants an answer. "I don't know," Miranda admits. "I need to talk to a lawyer. I need to figure out if I'm going to face charges. I need to deal with this. And after that?" Veronica presses. "After the legal stuff is over? Are you going to learn from this, or are you just going to be more careful about getting caught next time?" It's a fair question, and Miranda doesn't have an immediate answer. She wants to say that of course she's learned her lesson, that she'll never do anything like this again. But Veronica deserves more than empty promises. "I'm going to do better," Miranda says finally. "I'm going to actually follow the rules, not just because I'm scared of consequences, but because I understand now that they exist for good reasons, that other people's time and jobs and safety matter as much as my emergencies." "Okay," Veronica says, and she sounds slightly mollified. "I hope you mean that. Look, I need to go to class. Call me when you have a new flight booked. And Mom, maybe see if you can get that video taken down." "I'll try," Miranda says, though she knows it's probably futile. When something goes viral, it's out there forever. She ends the call and stands in the middle of the terminal, travelers flowing around her like water around a stone. She needs to find a lawyer. She needs to book a new flight, possibly with a different airline. She needs to go home and figure out how to explain this to her friends, her colleagues, her social circle. But first, she needs to sit down. She finds an empty seat near gate 38 and collapses into it, still clutching her mother's watch. She opens her hand and looks at it, really looks at it for the first time since the security officer handed it to her. It is beautiful. The craftsmanship is exquisite, a relic from an era when things were made to last, to be treasured across generations. But looking at it now, Miranda can't help but think about the price she paid to retrieve it. Not the monetary value, though that's significant. The real cost is so much higher. Her reputation, her freedom, potentially, her relationship with her daughter, her sense of self as a good person who makes reasonable choices. Was it worth it? The honest answer is no. Nothing material, no matter how valuable or sentimental, is worth what she's lost today. She should have waited. She should have asked for help. She should have trusted the system instead of trying to circumvent it. As she sits there, her phone buzzes again. This time it's a call from an unknown number. She answers cautiously. "Miranda Ashford?" A male voice asks. "Yes. This is Trevor Walsh from the Los Angeles Times. I'm writing a story about an incident at LAX today involving a woman who gained unauthorized access to a restricted area. I have video footage and witness accounts, and I wanted to get your side of the story before we publish." Miranda's blood runs cold. The local news, of course. A viral video of airport security drama is exactly the kind of story that local media loves. "No comment," she says quickly. "Mrs. Ashford, this story is going to run with or without your input. Wouldn't you prefer to have your perspective included?" "No comment," Miranda repeats and hangs up. Her hands are shaking. Within the next hour, she receives 3 more calls from different media outlets. She doesn't answer any of them. She also receives a text from her sister. "What the hell did you do?" Everyone's sending me this video! Miranda doesn't respond. She can't deal with her family's reactions right now. She can barely deal with her own emotions. Finally, she pulls herself together enough to search for flights to Paris with different airlines. She finds one leaving tomorrow morning, significantly more expensive than her original ticket, but at this point, she'll pay anything. She books it, wincing at the price, knowing that this entire disaster is costing her not just emotionally and legally, but financially as well. By the time she's finished with all the arrangements, it's evening. The terminal is less crowded now, the afternoon rush having passed. Miranda makes her way toward the exit, toward the parking garage where her car waits, toward the drive home, and whatever comes next. As she's walking, she passes the door that started all of this. The door marked authorized personnel only. It looks so innocuous now, just a door like any other. But Miranda knows that behind it lies the scene of her spectacular failure, the place where her carefully constructed self-image came crashing down. She pauses for a moment, staring at the door. Then she turns and walks away, toward the exit, toward her car, toward her uncertain future. 3 weeks later, Miranda sits in a courthouse waiting for her name to be called. After reviewing the incident report, the Transportation Security Administration decided to file misdemeanor charges for unauthorized access to a restricted area. Her lawyer has negotiated a plea deal: probation, community service, a fine, and a permanent ban from LAX. No jail time, but her record will show a conviction for a federal security violation. It could have been worse, her lawyer reminded her. Much worse. When the judge asks if she understands the terms of the plea agreement, Miranda stands and says clearly, "Yes, Your Honor, I understand." "And do you accept responsibility for your actions?" the judge asks. Miranda thinks about lying, about making excuses, about explaining all the circumstances that led to her poor decision. But she's done with that. "Yes, Your Honor, I accept full responsibility.